Welcome to the Friends and Rivals podcast.
You handle it, and they put the wrong shit down on the ground. They put like a brine, and they like basically do it beforehand, like too early, and it just basically gets washed away. It's like the stupidest thing you've ever seen.
Sounds
I don't
better.
know. Yep.
Yeah, but if you drop a cucumber on the ground, you get a pickle, right? Brian, it's so cool.
Bat, bat.
Let's talk Devils and Islanders. Let's talk Penguins and Rangers. But let's not talk about Flyers, because they're a bunch of fucks, which no one can deny.
All right. Episode 10, Friends and Rivals podcast coming at you. I am one of your co-hosts, Tom Harkness. Along with me, as always, are...
Stephen Wojtowicz.
Bill Fougere.
Nick Larita.
Interesting week in the NHL. There's no games, at least for our teams tonight, because of COVID protocols. Thanks to the New Jersey Devils.
You're
Really
welcome,
everybody.
Good job, Devils.
Thanks, buds.
happy to help.
You know, normally it's fuck the Flyers, but this week it's fuck the Devils.
We can fuck.
I'll take it.
I can go with that. Fuck the Devils. I'm always game for saying stuff like that for sure. Did anybody have anything going on this week? God damn. So I guess.
But really, we're talking about last week. Next week's show is the show that's going to be trouble.
Well, yeah, exactly. At least you have games to talk about, right? So
Yeah.
This week you may not have games at all, which you can take a break then.
Happily.
You can be on COVID protocol with your team then.
I don't give a shit. I still get paid the same amount of money whether I take a break or not.
Shit, you get paid?
You guys aren't getting paid?
Did you get a sponsor already and not tell us?
Fanatics. Didn't you? They sent me a new shirt. Didn't you see it in the background there?
I had to pay for mine, and I had to wait for like 3
no.
months.
They
You guys
sent
have
me
shirts?
that. Yeah, I didn't even have to ask for it. Just Fanatics just sent me that Jack Hughes shirtsy right there that you see in the background.
How the hell did they even get
Sorry,
you?
guys. I thought you knew. I thought they sent one to everybody.
Son of a bitch. Fanatics, I'm literally in the next county over from you, okay? It would have saved you money just shipping alone. I would have picked it up.
I'll talk to my guy.
I appreciate that.
We'll get you hook up with a nice PK Subban shirt, Tom.
Ooh.
Yes. Yes.
One of the only ones on the team without COVID. So maybe that's the only one they got in stock.
I want.
But he was recently a plus in his game.
Paying attention. Someone is paying attention.
I want a shirt of PK Subban and Miles Wood dancing on the front of it, like they were tussling in the in training camp. That's probably the only PK Subban shirt I would ever wear.
Till he's on the Rangers in 3 years.
No. We've turned a new leaf. Mark my words.
We'll see.
Mark my
We'll
words. All right, I guess I'll start off because I probably have a lot of stuff to go over. Let's start in Buffalo last Thursday, the 28th. So faceoffs actually weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be, but they still are an issue. 47.4% on faceoffs for the game, not too bad. Igor looked a lot better. His positioning was a lot more solid. He was moving the puck, and he just played with a little bit more confidence. So take you through the game a little bit. So Keandre Miller on the Eichel goal, as good as he's been, he always doesn't get the best body position. And Eichel got behind him for just a really easy tip-in goal. And that's something I've seen out of Keandre Miller, and that's something that's going to be a common theme on here across the Rangers defense, is letting that player, that forward, get behind them and get better position for an easy slam dunk tip in goal. They would have reduced 3 goals this week just by having better body position on the forwards coming down. Panarin, the pass on Strom's goal and also his shot on goal to make it 2-1 heading into the third period. Thank God we have Artemi Panarin on our team. Thank God. Because without him, this would be, I don't know if we would have won a game yet. But going into the third period with a lead is another common theme that we'll go through. So heading into the third period with a lead, less than a minute into the third period, Lafreniere has a wide open net and missed it. And then, Smith overplayed the positioning, backdoor power play goal. Again, another time where bad positioning leads to a backdoor slam dunk goal right on your goaltender. The power play looked good, couldn't finish it. Another blown third period lead brings us to overtime, tied at 2. A little more than halfway through, Eichel controls the puck at the center ice line. He's going and working back toward his own goal when he and then the other Buffalo players were going toward the offensive zone. Eichel tried to give a little backhand pass, but it deflects off of Blackwell's skates for a 2-on-1, and he feeds it across to Lafreniere with Eichel back. A little saucer pass over to Lafreniere turns into his first goal for him in his career and an overtime winner. What a way to end that game and give the Rangers a good feeling to find a way to win in overtime and at least salvage something on that 4-game road trip. That was, they got 3 out of a possible 8 points, which was, not as bad as only getting 2 or 1. But it was a rough road trip to say the very least. I'm going in kind of chronological order, so forgive me. I'll get to the good stuff in just a moment. Did we lose Billy? We lost Billy.
We did, but I'm sure he'll be back.
I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
So brings us to the following week. We return home, back on home ice. 2-game set with the Pittsburgh Penguins. This one was Saturday evening, and Igor feeling real comfortable in that, gets the win in overtime, looked pretty good, a little confident. And David Quinn then decides to go with Alexander Georgiev. Kind of glad he did. Insight may have been 2020 on that one. But Igor probably would have been the right call as opposed to going back and forth and trying to find a hot hand. But Rangers come home feeling good, really positive. The last 2 games, three out of a possible last 4 points, or 3 out of last 6 possible points on the road. Not too bad. Night in Pittsburgh faceoffs, not as bad as they had been recently against Pittsburgh. This was actually a shock to me when I looked at the statistics at 42.6% in faceoffs. So not too bad. Like I mentioned before, Georgiev and net opportunity to missed, in my opinion. And I don't always second guess David Quinn a lot, but it was an opportunity for Igor to really start to get into a groove. So we start off with Pittsburgh's first goal, innocent 3-on-3 across the line into the Rangers zone. And Smith just all of a sudden just does a snow angel on the ground, and Kasperi Kapanen passes across. And by the time Smith got up, the puck was in the back of the net, and Zucker put it in at the far post, 1-0 Pens. There was nobody there coming back on the back check to pick up Zucker, and Smith was way out of position in the corner on his face, trying to get up after he tried to block the pass going across. So 1-0 Penguins. And look, the first goal for the Rangers, drive to the net, good things happen. Phil DiGiuseppe puts a shot on net. Lemieux driving to the net, not ever really certain if it ever touched Lemieux, but he did get credit for the goal. 1-1 tie score. 47 seconds left in the first period. And this was a problem last week too. And I did text everybody. Those last minute goals of a period are absolute killers. And 47 seconds left in the first period. Face-off win by the Penguins. And this thing was clean. It goes back to defense. Tanev was circling out from behind the net. D'Angelo couldn't put a body on him or a stick on stick. Tanev deflects the goal and puts the Penguins up 2-1 after 1. And those last minute goals are really, really rough to swallow for sure. Moving to the second period, under 8 minutes into the second period, Penn's power play. Strome chips the puck on a back pass out of the zone, and a 2-on-0 develops between Miller and Kevin Rooney. Just a beautiful little fake shot by Miller back to Rooney. Wide open, gaping net on a shorthanded goal by Rooney on a 2-on-0. You don't see those too often. I anybody recently remember a 2-on-0 penalty kill, a shorthanded?
Not a shorthanded one. No,
not at all. I mean, I know the Penguins tried in overtime with Malkin, but boy, if he finished like the Rangers finished, we'd be saying a whole different story with Malkin.
Yeah,
sure.
if Evgeni Malkin was a player half of the skill of Kevin Rooney, then the Penguins might be in contention.
Ouch.
You nailed it there.
Not his time anymore.
You nailed it there, buddy.
Kevin Rooney better than Evgeni Malkin. Oof.
Yeah. Want to trade? Want to
it here.
Trade straight up?
Straight up?
Straight up.
I wouldn't mind. I would actually consider that. But in typical fashion, 43 seconds later, or actually 2 minutes later, Kapanen on a breakaway beats Georgiev 3-2 Penguins. So this was a kind of a fucking roller coaster all night, kind of back and forth emotions and goals and momentum swings, because 43 seconds later, Kreider puts in a rebound shot off of Trouba 3-3. And again, it's a roller coaster, but they've come back to tie the game at 3 after being down 1-0, being down 2-1, and being down 3-2. So they come back and tie the game with Kreider off a rebound shot from Trouba. And again, the roller coaster of emotions are going on. 4 minutes left in the second period, Rangers power play. Panarin finally hits the net with a slap shot one-timer from the high slot. It didn't hit the glass. It hit the back of the net. It was just a really, really, you could see it. Actually, the drive before that, maybe a couple seconds before, he had a good chance in the slot, and he just missed a shot, and DeSmith really got a shoulder on it. And this one was set up by a beautiful pass, a give and go between Panarin and Buchnevich. Now the Rangers are in the lead, but they're in the lead, and they're in the lead going into the third period, which would be it's just they don't know how to protect the lead. They don't know how to win, I guess, when they're going into the third period with a lead. It's something that they're going to have to learn how to do. So in the third period, Crosby with a clean face-off win back to Marino at the point, cross the CC, who takes a shot. Fox with terrible body position was standing in front of Gensel as opposed to behind him. And at that point, there was nothing Fox can do. Gensel puts in the rebound. I think Rust did get that goal. Billy, did Rust eventually get credit for that goal, or was the puck in before Rust touched it?
No, I think Gensel got it, but they were both there behind the goalie, behind the defenseman and behind the goalie, both waiting there for the rebound.
Yeah, I mean, Gensel was on the right side, Rust was on the left side, and they were just pouncing on the puck.
It was just a race to whichever Penguin could get it first.
Right. So it goes back to a very common theme over the two games that I said. 3 goals in just the 2 games that I was talking about, where body position may have prevented goals. So another third period goal, another third period lead gone by the wayside. And then we go to overtime. And in overtime,
did something significant happen in overtime?
I think so. But, less than a minute in, Zibanejad, Panarin, and Fox are out there and had a couple of good chances. One really good chance by Fox. And on the rebound, Panarin missed a rebound. I still don't know how he missed that rebound. But puck goes to the corner, then comes out. Fox on the way back does get a change. D'Angelo does come on. And then the Rangers get trapped in their own zone for the rest of overtime. And at about 2:44, Georgiev goes behind the net to play the puck, while D'Angelo was kind of right with him. If Georgiev let D'Angelo play the puck, he passes up the boards to Panarin. Panarin gets it out. We're all done.
D'Angelo would still be on the team.
D'Angelo might be on the team without a shiner. Yes, exactly.
For another week, maybe.
Right. But instead, Georgiev kind of plays the puck into the other corner where where Penguins player was waiting. I think it was Rust. And they just played with the puck for a little while longer. Then Crosby gets in the slot. Bang, 5-hole, 5-4. Penguins win in overtime. Rangers do salvage a point out of it, if nothing else. So
and then everyone home and everything was good after that?
Everything was good. Everybody
fun, right?
left the ice. And then it happened. So there was a lot of frustration. So the initial story that I got was that D'Angelo called him a name, called him a commie, and then they got into a little tussle, then it got broken up. Whereas we've heard more details come out, it was the fact that, Georgiev was, really upset by the play and really taking it a little hard. And Tony came and made a sarcastic comment, and Georgiev got up and punched him in the head. And then, there's reports that Kreider got up and punched him in the face. So there's a lot of things going back and forth about what the actual story is. But typically, I like to believe those first stories that come out, and that D'Angelo and Georgiev had a falling out, and then a third player stepped in and punched D'Angelo in the face, which turned out to be Kreider. I did a little bit of investigating. I did send out a picture of Kreider at the podium with a pretty big black and blue on the back of his right hand, and just at the same height maybe that he would have hit D'Angelo in the face? I don't know, maybe. But he did have a black and blue on his hand. I don't know where he got it from. He could have got it from anywhere. But so that turned into a whole situation with D'Angelo and his last straw, and the Rangers putting him on waivers. He did eventually clear waivers, and he was now assigned to the taxi squad because of his attitude. And, also reports coming out that after the first game, after Barzal completely undressed him, almost as bad as Aho did in the bubble, he took a bad penalty, took a misconduct penalty after that, and Quinn sat him for a game, put him in the Quinn bin, and he never got over it. And he was still upset that he was pulled and sat. I guess it really hurt his ego that a $4.8 million player can go and get be a healthy scratch for a night. Too fucking bad, you crybaby. So he did get assigned to the taxi squad. Right now, he's now sitting in limbo, waiting to get traded. Where apparently, as Darren Drager reported today, there is reports that there is a lot of interest in Tony DeAngelo. I guess when you can have him for free, there wasn't too much demand for him.
No,
but I guess
they're eating. How much do you think they're going to eat?
They have to, I think, at a minimum, eat at least 35% of that contract. At a minimum, they can eat as a maximum of 50%, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I got to think they're going to eat at least 35% of that. It has to be just
because Gordon said he's played his last game as a Ranger, right?
Yeah, and that was
press conference, right?
From Newsweek asked Jeff Gordon and John Davidson in their press conference if Tony DeAngelo played the last game, and Gordon confirmed that right then and there. So there's nothing more to it. He will not play another game for the New York Rangers. Right now, he is at home waiting to get traded. So look, I didn't really think DeAngelo was going to be on the team past this year. I think we even in our season preview, we talked about if the Rangers weren't going to make the playoffs, DeAngelo could have been, and Strome could have been one of the people they could traded to a contender to help them out. And best case, he would have been exposed in the expansion draft. So DeAngelo, it wasn't in their long-term plans. He was definitely in their short-term plans. I think a little bit longer than 8 games into the season. But I don't think DeAngelo was part of their long-term plans. So now you move on, and they actually had to play another hockey game, and this was on Monday. So the press conference happened right before the game Monday, and you got to go out and play a hockey game. But Capo Caco got added to the COVID protocol list. Not that he has it, but I believe he has diabetes too. Not diabetes. He has something. I forgot what ailment he has, but if he does get COVID, it could be a pretty devastating thing. So they certainly do protect him more than, well, not more than anybody, but I think they would protect him a little bit more than other people to not put him in harm's way. So he's on COVID protocol. He was still on it today. So we'll see. Gordon did say that was going to be a short-term thing for him. So I don't think he necessarily has COVID, but he's in the protocol. So they played the Penguins again on Monday. And this time Igor was in net, and faceoffs. Faceoffs were absolutely putrid. And I will put the Rangers faceoff percentage number for Monday's game against anybody on here, maybe even for the season, 29.2% faceoff wins. Anybody?
Full game?
Full game. Anybody want to beat us?
Yes.
What do you got? You got one that's better or worse?
26.4.
Wow.
Suck. Holy shit.
Versus Philly.
We're yet to play them, so there is still a chance.
Keep your fingers crossed. Just to confirm, it is type 1 diabetes and celiac disease.
All right, good. At least I was right on something.
In defense, Philly is pretty good at face-offs.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Absolutely.
Fuck the Flyers, Nick.
Fuck the Flyers.
They were 50-50.
Sure,
they were 50-50 the first time they played them, and then 26.4% the second time.
Oof, that's brutal. But you guys the Devils did win the head-to-head battle against the Rangers. They were 50-point
50.9. Yes.
And the Rangers were 49.1. So head to head,
much better.
Nothing.
Much better.
Much better for sure.
And I think we surmised that 1.8% equals 1 goal, since the Devils were 1 goal better than the Rangers that night.
1 goal, only one.
Yeah,
it should have been tied because both that 1 goal shouldn't have counted. Anyway,
and yet it did.
Yet it did. So the Penguins' first goal, to me, it was a silly goal, and it should never have gone to the position.
That one shouldn't have counted as well.
No, someone I forgot who shot the puck from the point. One of the backup players for the Penguins shot the puck, and it almost went.
It was our 23rd string defenseman.
Yes, exactly. But Igor went to like play it like throw his blocker on it when the puck was like it had to be at least 15 feet wide, and he flung his body out to try and block this puck. It took a crazy rebound, and was it Zucker again?
I think so.
It was Zucker, or is it Zucker or Zucker?
Zucker.
Zucker.
Like sucker.
Like sucker? Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So Zucker, bang, was able to bang in the rebound shot from behind the net. Puck took a crazy bounce. But again, he shouldn't be playing that puck. He should know his position. He should know where he is on the ice. And that puck was at least 15 feet wide. Go check the replay on it. It was crazy pants.
There was another shot later on that he tried to go up like he was like trying to take a home run away. It's like, why are you stretching that high trying to pull a puck down?
I agree. He does some crazy things for sure. Sometime in the second period, Crosby tried to do a backhand Michigan style goal, and if it was in, it probably would have been the goal of the season. It might even be the goal of the 21st century. It was really a thing of beauty. But my gripe with the whole thing is, if he tried to do that and I was on the ice, I don't care who you are. That's disrespecting my team trying something like that. I want to fucking pound your face in. And nobody on the Rangers did that. Nobody even flinched at him to do that. And that maybe they're too inexperienced about that. But there was a couple of years back where Artem Anisimov scored a goal against the Columbus Blue Jackets and threw his glove up in the air and did like a shotgun with his stick. And everybody on the Columbus Blue Jackets on the ice came after him. Maybe it's just because he was Artem Anisimov and it wasn't Sidney Crosby, but man, that was a little disrespectful in my book. A lot of skill to even attempt something like that, so kudos to him, but not against my team. Not against my team.
I don't think that's bad. I think the comparison you're making is different, right? Showboating after a goal is scored and being like a celebration that's like basically, go F yourselves. That's going to basically be, that's worth taking a shot at the guy for. But a Michigan style goal, it's happened a lot now in the NHL. It's quite a few times where people are attempting it. It's gone in. I mean, I don't think that's the one. I think if you did some crazy, like if you try to pick up a puck in a lacrosse style goal while moving forward at the goal, like, a lot of kids try and do that kind of, they do it in like,
in a shootout, in the fake shootouts.
Yeah, if you want to do it in the shootout, I'm all for it.
But if you tried that in like the middle of a game and like, spin around, you're gonna get crushed, right? Because like that's just being like a douche trying to score something like that. But I feel like that style goal nowadays is like pretty standard, and it's really hard to pull off. No one's gonna throw a shit fit about it. You're just gonna be pissed that you scored it because it's like a slam dunk, right? If you get,
it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, it was gorgeous, and if it went in, I'm telling you, it was the goal of the 21st century.
Sort of along the lines of what Nick's saying, a goal, trying to score a goal like that. I mean, I don't see what the big deal is. You're trying to score a goal. Try to score a goal any way you can score a goal. I mean, you know how like everybody's going between the feet like once a game now. Somebody's trying to go between the feet trying to score a goal. I mean, it's just you're trying to beat the goalie. I'm all for it. A celebration can go too far. You can have your opinion about a celebration, but try to score. Be creative. I'm good with it.
I think if you set up shot behind the net and it's like 5-0 already, and you're just trying to score it for, icing on the cake, then for sure you're gonna get it fucking decked. It also depends on the timing of the goal. I think it helps with that, or it's part of it. But just my sense.
We have a timing of the goal to talk about too. That's
fact that he did it on the backhand was ridiculous too.
It was
it's beauty when you have it on the
was
backhand.
ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, but maybe it's just me. Maybe because it was Crosby, and maybe if Crosby did it against your team, Nick and Steve, maybe you'd have a different reaction. I hope he does. You know what? I hope he does.
I'd just be annoyed.
I mean, I can't even pick up a puck with my hands sometimes, and this guy's picking it up with the back of the stick.
Now, his backhand is his Crosby's almost got a flat.
Yeah.
So it's not as big of a deal for him to do it on the backhand than some other players probably.
No, but it's still.
I'm not saying it. Yeah, was he doing it in motion? I didn't see it.
He was behind the net, kind of going back and forth a little bit, and then he kind of flipped it on his backhand. It was if you get an opportunity,
you don't want him to do that. You don't want him to do that. Get a defender on him. Where was the closest defender?
Well, he was behind the net, and they were protecting the pass coming out, so they were respecting him. But they should have been on him. I agree. Moving on, the Rangers also. Not only are they really shitty at faceoffs, and they can't hold a lead in the third period for shit, they have a tendency of making every goalie in the league be the next Patrick Waugh or Brodeur or Hasek or Terry Sawchuk. You name the legendary goalie, and the Rangers are making the goaltenders in the Mass Mutual Eastern Division look like those legends this year. Sorry, Nick, the exception is Sorokin on this list. But you look at Mackenzie Blackwood, you look at that Enos guy up in Buffalo, you look Casey DeSmith. It's not Enos. What's his name up in Buffalo?
Enos Slaughter? Is that who you were thinking of?
No, it's not Enos. I don't know. And Varlamov the first game of the year. So every goaltender, we turn them into the next coming of these legendary goaltenders. But the Rangers did have an excellent penalty kill all night, and their penalty kill has not been bad all year. It's certainly been one of the highlights. They've been shifting a lot of players, moving them, really getting everybody they can, all hands on deck. You even saw Lafreniere kill a penalty yesterday. So
it's because they play the Penguins every day.
Well, that
also
also
stinks.
I'm leaving that to you. I'm not really gonna touch on that. So I'll leave that to you. Did anybody at this point, 8-9 games into the season, have Kevin Rooney have more goals than Mika Zibanejad? Did anybody have that? Raise your hands.
I did. Yeah.
No, you lie. No, you lie. I certainly didn't, but it just goes to the point. Mika's struggling, but you can.
You can't ask a question like that and somebody answers and you call him a liar.
Well, you're a fucking liar because you didn't. But you can see the way Mika's starting to play with face-off. We're not talking about face-offs, but just about everything else. Getting that one-timer shot on net, passing the puck a little bit better. He just seems a little bit more engaged, and it looks like he's on the verge finally of starting to come out of whatever funk that he's in. And look, he had a crazy end to last year. And if you look at some of his stats, he had like I think it was a 30% shot percentage last year when it came to shots versus goals. It was ridiculous, especially from January to March. It was absurd. Maybe it was just that is really kind of taking us away from who Mika Zibanejad is. Sure, that's going to play into his contract at the end of the season, where they're going to start to talk about his extension. I just don't know what type of player that we're looking at, but he's about to break out of this, and hopefully by this time next week, we're going to talk about Mika scoring goals again, because I think he's really on the verge. But then again, anything I say kind of backfires.
He just needs a haircut. Freaking hippie.
I don't think it's not a haircut, please. And like the Penguins, injuries are starting to mount for us. Brendan Smith came across and tried to take out Tanev and concussed himself. Is Tanev that thick? Is he that big of a guy that he can take?
Not
Brendan
a big guy.
Smith
He's just a tough little guy.
Yeah, I mean, but he put Brendan Smith to freaking Jupiter. I mean, that guy was somewhere other than the earth after he hit Tanev. I really, really felt for him for sure. So, you got Benedetto in and, coming in for coming in for Tony D'Angelo. You're not going to play Tony D'Angelo in the next game for sure. So they're going to have to get somebody from Hartford to come up and play defense for the next game. So we'll wait and see as to who they call up. But getting back to the game, get a man in front of them. Get a man in front of the net to block the goalie's vision. I know it's a novel idea, right? But if you do that, hey, goalie can't see you. Maybe you even get a deflection, and that's exactly what Kreider did. Kreider stood in front of the Smith. He had a beautiful little deflection on a really nice wrist shot by Fox from the point on a deflection on the power play. Rangers up 2-0, or Rangers up 2-1. In the third, this is in the third period. So they didn't go into the third period with a lead. They led in the third period with just about 5 minutes left to go. After that, Keandre Miller probably made the save of the game when he slid across and blocked a wide open net after Trouba pushed Igor into the net, and Miller just came across and blocked it with his shoulder of a wide open net that really could have tied the game. And under 5 seconds left to go, Panarin puts the goal in. I don't necessarily think he needed to score there. I'm happy he did. Good for him. Get all the goals that you can. But it's under a second left, and you're just winging the puck at the net on a 2-1 win down in their end when they don't have anybody back and they pretty much stop skating. I don't know if you have to put the puck in net at that point, but they did. Rangers won 3-1, and
Get your goal. Just go get your goal.
I mean, I guess, right? But I don't necessarily.
Okay with it.
I'm sure that should have angered the Penguins, and why they didn't come back and go after him at the end there. I don't know. Maybe we're just in a different time for hockey. But these things happened back in even the 90s or even maybe the early 2000s. Something might have happened to those players. Maybe it's just me. Maybe my viewpoint is all a little screwy.
Yes.
But things are looking up in Rangerland. Getting 5 out of the last 6 points. Now is where the tough part of the schedule comes. Next games are against, we got Washington in there. We got Philly coming up. We got Boston. We have a game against New Jersey. Maybe.
Nope. It's already been canceled.
It's already been canceled.
Right. Saturday's game's already been canceled.
Right. So now they're going to certainly be tested by these teams especially with Washington and Philadelphia. They did not have a good record against Philly last year. I don't expect them to have a good record against any of those teams this year, but we'll see. This is why they play the games, right? And maybe it's about when you play the teams as opposed to what teams you're playing. So hopefully they get it at a good time. I mean, the Islanders had Washington, and Washington was missing half of their squad last week, right?
They were missing some key players. I mean, we had a number of dudes. You had Ovechkin and was Backstrom out because of COVID?
Yeah,
was he out?
Was like, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he was injured or if he was part of the COVID protocol. But yeah, we still lost against them twice, so that was awesome. It's never great to. I thought, to be honest, this whole thing would be, as soon as this past week would be a big advantage for the Isles with Devils and then the Capitals when they both had guys out, and those really didn't really do much for us actually. And so the Isles are on a 5-game losing streak at this point. So you could tell that really didn't play in our favor. So I guess I'll go since I'm talking already. Isles had a pretty shitty last few games, and tonight would have been just another game to play. Not to say they played bad during this entire stretch. So first game against Capitals, team was looking to try and get things moving. We've had I thought we would be about to turn the tide and get over the hump of maybe getting over this mediocrity and some of the back and forth of wins and losses. Anyway, Varlamov was in net. Capitals were wearing their Rangers jerseys on the 26th. I don't know if you guys have seen them, but they look.
Nick absolutely fucking hates those jerseys, man.
They confused the hell out of me. I think in person they probably look pretty decent, but when you're watching the game, I couldn't tell I was even watching Capitals. My brain kept it kept looking like the Liberty jersey because of the
navy
colors,
Yeah.
the colors and the stripes. They look almost identical from like that perspective of the game. Not up close. Like obviously it's very different, but when you're watching in motion, it's like really strange. But just in general, it's a weird combination. Like so much blue on those jerseys. It didn't look like the Capitals. Like you're used to seeing them like the primary white,
Yeah.
or the primary, red. Kind of just makes it look. Those are like the kind of what I look for when I see that jersey. But I don't know. Anyway, early on we had a couple goals back and forth. First period, both by defensemen. Carlson for Washington. Noah Dobson got his first goal of the year on a screened long shot. Second period, Barzal scored on a turnover in the Washington zone, which was really a really pretty forehanded backhand move he made. Super fast, super silky mitts. Love watching goals like that. And it always reminds you when you see him do something like that. But yeah, he's just gonna he's a special player. Guys, not many guys on our team can do that at all. Let alone in that speed and that quick of a move. Late goal and a quick shot on a 3-on-3 play, which didn't look like a dangerous play at all. Varlamov just didn't have I don't know if he didn't pick it up in time or they were between the circles on the shot. And it was like all three Washington players and like the three aisles were like right around them. The puck just happened to come right to the one guy, ripped it. Daniel sprung and he ripped a shot before, Varlamov didn't have he couldn't
Another
really move.
ex-Penguin playing in Washington.
But it was one of those
18
innocuous plays that changed the whole fast of the game, right before the end of the period. A few minutes left, but nevertheless, just kind of like went from a 2-1 game to all of a sudden 2-2 going to the third. At which point, then I felt like this kind of just was really the start of the shit show. Komarov made it like pretty far into the period. I think it was like 11, 12 minutes into the period. He has a boarding call called against him. He makes this a bad, check into the back of one of the was it I forget who from the Capitals it was. Not Sheary. Eller. It was Eller. He got basically it was a no-brainer major penalty, and essentially kind of blew. We went from a tie game to a 5-minute power play now for the other team, major, and so you're just kind of trying to kill it off. They seemed to do it. They were able to get through it, and it was like major. Like okay, we broke through it. Now we get to hopefully score a goal, and nothing happened. Washington was still hot. They hit the post, I think, at least once on the power play, and then they ended up scoring the goal with 30 seconds to go in the game. So not only did we lose, but we didn't get the fucking the point to get in the overtime. It sucked, and the shot was a nice shot, quick entry, and just one of those like real like one quick pass, rip shot. Varlamov got beat. Overall, this was like so no Beauvillier this game. We had Bellows and Johnson on the third line, with Komarov on the second line for Beauvillier when he was out. So this was not really great. With Komarov, I was really pissed about it. Just the fact that I didn't want to see him on the second line anyway, but that he fucking basically caused us to lose the game essentially. All momentum was sucked out of it, even though they killed a penalty and everything. Washington came out of that penalty and they were on fire. They were buzzing. They were buzzing. We just couldn't hold off. Notably, Bellows had some power play time. Pollock had 25 minutes. He had both power play and penalty kill chunks. He played a ton of time. Dobson had 17 minutes, mostly because of no PK time. There wasn't a lot of penalties in the game. It's just it was all kind of it looks worse than it is with the boarding penalty. Isles were over 3 on the power play. Isles had we've been talking face-offs. This thing we have 50-50 in this game. We've been very dominant in the face-offs all season, and this was a stretch where we went through this week where we actually were even or just under all week. So really good face-off wins for both teams. Neither team really won that battle, and it really sucked the wind out of it because the Caps were missing major players, and Oshie was really good. he was really good in this game, and he was clearly the lead, stepping up and being the main guy there, and he was very noticeable. He had a post late in the power play, and was just pissed me off because he was playing well, and we should have won this game. It was a game that was really handed to us with those guys out. Now it's a couple days later, we play them again, and this was a very different game. This was one of those games that I like to forget because I sat down to watch the game, and the game starts off with Wallstrom getting his first career goal, which is awesome, off a deflection off of a Caps player. It was a shot that wasn't really supposed to even hit the net. Bounced off a Caps player and went in. And hey, sometimes these guys get a goal that's out of nowhere. And it was his first game of the year. From the taxi squad, gets his first goal and pretty early in the game, I think halfway through the period. So he scores the goal. All of a sudden, momentum starts to turn. Suzuki scores under 30 seconds later on a deflection from a great shot pass from Clutterbuck. And then before the end of the period, Anders Lee scores a rebound on a power play. We're up 3-0. Go into the second period. The first period was really dominant. They looked really good. I was thinking this is going to be that. Barry yelled at them a lot and got them all riled up, and then they came out and were really looking like they were going to just dominate this game. And to be honest, even the previous game, there was no period I felt like they got dominated except for the third period, where they just were out. Once you have a second half of the third period where you start with a 5-minute major, they didn't win that period for sure. So anyway, second period comes around, and halfway through the period, Sherry scores in the slot, a rebound off of a shot that hit him. Basically hit him. He picked it up, shot it real quick. Varlamov was screened, couldn't see the puck. It was a good shot. It was a good goal. But it started essentially the next couple minutes of goals. And so, fun fact, I actually was walking the dogs or putting kids to bed at this time. So I walked out of the room and it was 3-0. I came back, it was 3-3.
Huh.
And there was only 3 minutes of gameplay time gone. I almost turned the TV off, went to bed. I just was like, are you fucking kidding me? Because I couldn't believe that the game, I had to rewind it now since, streaming it. So I was able to rewind it, go and relive the nightmare, right? So that was a good goal. But then another goal, a couple minutes, about a minute and 10 later, long outlet pass to Connor Sheary, and he gets a shot in net, and Varley it goes through him. He should have had that one, and that set up the next goal a minute later, and basically just power play goal. Oh, another goal. I don't think I wrote right what happened on this one. Third goal happens, and then after that, a power play goal by John Carlson. A few minutes, three more minutes later. So in a span of 5 minutes in game time, we went from 3-0 to losing the game 4-3, and then to end the period, Chara gets a long shot to go in, and the Capitals mob him because it's his first goal as a Capital, and basically 5-goal periods are fucking terrible. So this was just a shit show, and I don't have much notes on the third period because I kind of was spacing out that time, to be honest. Empty netter at the end of the game. The fucking Trotz must have been fucking losing his mind between periods. Notes in the game. It was his Wallstrom's first goal. He was game of the season. I mean, he was playing with Pageau and Bellows. So we had 2 rookies on the same line, and they looked pretty good. I did not think, I was a little concerned that they wouldn't play them together because they're rookies, and they don't have a lot of NHL time at all, obviously. Wallstrom had a 9-game stint previously. This is kind of Bellows' first time around, so really not a lot. But they look pretty good. And every game, Bellows has been getting better. It seems like from experience of getting those minutes in, he's less and less nervous on those passes and stuff. Komarov was on the second line again. He got a little face washing a few times during the game from the Washington Caps. No surprise. There was no. Have you guys seen any real fights in these games? I haven't seen any fights on the aisles. I think maybe one this whole season.
I think
we had a
Wood,
fight.
if I remember correctly, is the only Devil to get into a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Billy, last night's game, Rangers Penguins. At the end of the first period, it was Howden and somebody else.
Somebody got his ass kicked. I can't remember. Oh, it was Kapanen.
It was what?
Kapanen.
It was Kapanen, right?
Yeah. So I was surprised. But they didn't have any kind of real. They didn't like go and beat him up or anything. They just gave him some face washing and told him he was a dick. Anyway, but the other aside from the score, like you look at the stats, you watch the game. The Isles basically outside of the period where they just had a complete meltdown. They basically dominated all everything in the game. Otherwise, like they had 30 shots to 23, 55% win percentage in the power play, 19 hits to 15. They had five. They did have less blocks, and they had five giveaways, which was kind of that's where they really got in trouble. It's the opportunities that they didn't convert on, and that's kind of the story they've had this year. They've been this year. And this is their team, right? The Isles are a very opportunistic team. They don't get a lot of goals. They got to play real solid defense. But if they don't score their opportunities and they let the other team do it, they have no chance of coming back. It's just very difficult. And that's kind of the story throughout the week. We then laid the game into the Flyers on was this the 30th? Was what's Friday?
Saturday.
Yeah, you're right. Saturday.
I know.
Yeah, I know. So we were hoping for so we got 0 points in Washington. By the way, 2 games, no points, real great. In Philly, the fourth line to start the game, they don't look that great. Then we had some back and forth with teams flying around. Bellows looked pretty good again. He was playing on the line with I think was he playing Johnson this game? I forget if that was the case. Wallstrom. He had Wallstrom again this game. Okay, so they played one more game together. There was some changes later in the next game. Anyway, Isles give up a turnaround, have a turnover. They basically play pretty well. Turnover turns into a Flyers goal, and Bellows at this point, and I think with about 5 minutes left in the period, had both shots on net for the Isles. Isles had just no shots on net. Power play looked okay. Penalty, but the Flyers the penalty kill is very aggressive, and Isles had fold on power play against the aggressive power penalty kills. It's pretty bad. Like they just have a very difficult time getting the puck into the zone, and they are just wilting when it comes to an aggressive power penalty kill. And I don't think it's any secret. Every time we've had it, the last few games that we've been coming out, the aggressive penalty kill is just eating our power play alive. Wallstrom had another nice little shot, wove through the D, took a good little shot on net. But, I think it was both goals. It was no second goal by the Flyers. I think both of them were basically like, there wasn't a lot going on. It was just turnovers, and they didn't have a lot of other pieces to the reasons why they should have had much of a lead there. Just Isles not being not just giving up the turn of the puck and the bad spots, and not getting their own goals. It wasn't a lot of shots either in the first period. In the intermission, it was interesting. I bring this up because this is Matt Martin's 700th game in the NHL, which I didn't realize he had played 700. It's pretty notable for a guy that's primarily played fourth line minutes his whole career. And in the intermission, they had a little story on Sam Morin, plays the Flyers, and he said in his interview that he looked up to Matt Martin as growing up, watching him play, and he's watches him 30 minutes of tape of him every day to before he goes to bed, watching the little things he does, because I guess he's a very similar type of player, looking at his career as a fourth liner. So it was interesting to see that, because you don't see too many times where someone looks up to another fourth liner. But then you think about it, you're like, Martin could play close to 1,000 games his career if he plays out his contract and stays healthy, and then maybe has another season or two. He could probably get close to that. So, anyway, the second period they started, and they had a mixture of line mates. Bailey, they moved them up to the first line with Barzal and Lee. They looked a lot sharper. They put Bellows in the second power play unit with during that period. I've noted he had a shot on net during the power play, but the big story here is in the second period is we had 2 goals, both where the defense gets involved. And from last year, that was a very important thing. And they need to get the defense. They need to have some pinching going on to help get the offense going. It just happened to be the way we set up in the offensive zone. When we have a defenseman pinching, and they typically helps us get a much higher chance to score a goal. I didn't look at the numbers from last year and like goals, where assist by a defenseman or anything like that. But I remember a lot of it happening from Letty, from Bullock, from Devon Taves. They'd be constantly be pinching and Boychuk sometimes, getting the puck in deep, keeping it deep, and getting the puck cycled and getting shots from the point. And both goals came off of just those exact type of things. Mayfield scored a goal. Letty kept it deep, and he was able to the puck was able to get cycled back to Mayfield for a shot at the point for a goal. On the first goal, Pellick dove in with the puck and was able to feed. He came around the net and fed Eberle in the front, and those goals wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the defense, really jumping into the play. And outside of that, third period happened. The first line was buzzing. They were playing real well, but power play was terrible. Could not do anything. Wasn't a lot of anything. I think both teams were pretty even in a lot of ways. I wrote down Komarov sucks. Needs to get him back to the taxi squad. Kind of sick and tired of watching him play. Barzal had a lot of opportunities, and he should have had a few points in the game. He just wasn't able to convert, or missed a shot, missed a pass. But he was in on a lot of opportunities. He was all over the place. Game went to overtime. Honestly, overtime was really bad. The Isles really, I don't know why this year they've looked really bad in overtime. Previous years they've done this little thing since Trotz came on. When the 3-on-3 started, they would do this little play where they bring the puck out and back out of the zone if something wasn't looking good. Teams would start to change, and they fire a quick pass and try and get a quick odd man rush.
Okay.
And then and then they would do it a few times, and maybe it's just the league figured out that was a play you don't have to keep it in the zone. You see it all the time. People just if they're getting pressured or they're going to lose the puck, they want to keep the puck, right? 3-on-3 is a total puck possession thing.
You see him throwing it back to the goalie even too.
Yeah, you got to keep the puck. You lose the puck, you might not get it back, and you might get scored on. And this year it's completely night and day. They looked much better last year in overtime throughout the year, and this year it's there was a lack of organization, a lack of what they were doing. It looked like they were just winging it, and things weren't working.
You also got to watch out for those overtimes, Nick. The goalie plays the puck wrong, and all of a sudden your defenseman gets punched in the face and gets.
That's
you
true.
Gotta be careful.
That's true. Anyway, I wrote down both. Letty gave the puck up. Eberle gave the puck up. Dobson gave Loughton too much room on a play he came in on. He went way right, came straight across the middle, and waited him out. And then Varlamov went down too early and had to basically crab kind of walk back to the post, and he didn't have enough. He just was too far out. He committed too early, and that was all she wrote. Overtime, game over. And the overall thing I wrote was better. They played way better, but the Flyers converted on 2 turnovers early, and Isles couldn't get. They had a lot of opportunities and couldn't get them. And they should have had a point. They should have had a win in this game. They outshot the Flyers almost 2-1. It was 28-17 shots. They outshot them massively in the second and third. The first period they had very few shots. But 0-4 in the power play. Couldn't do much. Only guy in the sin bin for the Isles this game was Barzal. And I bring that up because in the next game, it's a little more important. Last game of the week. And so in the fourth game of the week, it would have been almost fifth if we had tonight's game, right? They switched up a little bit on this game. The kids came out. They left. They put in. They actually did 3 guys out. So Komarov, they finally threw him out. Hopefully back to Russia. Timashov was a signing we had in the off season. We actually sort of traded for his rights, and then he didn't get signed till pretty late. So I was surprised to see him come on in where he ended up slotting in. He ended up being on the second line where Komarov was playing. So it was interesting to see. He played, I think, third and fourth line minutes for the Red Wings last year. And then we had Michael Dahl and Austin Sarnik also on the third line. Those two guys slotted in for Bellows and Wallstrom. And I had never really seen Timashov or Sarnik play. So it was like I had new numbers guys to watch, and had no idea what they were going to look like. Actually, it was interesting. They put Sarnik ended up getting time on the power play and shorthanded. He played a lot of interesting spots, and he was starting on the third line, maybe just because of position more so than they didn't provide. Not so much that Timashov or him are better than the other. I think it was just right wing versus left wing. But Sorokin also started this game, and so I was hoping to God that they could get him some goals. He had not really had any support. And,
how has he been? I mean, I only saw him against the Rangers, and I can't even count that game. So how's it been since then?
So the first two games he played, the Isles got shut out both games. So he had 0 goal support in 2 straight games, and I think that played into the first game. He got shelled. Second game he looked better, but still some shaky spots. Like I said, they had no goals for him. So
yeah,
what are you gonna do? This game he looked a little better in some areas, and then he also he made some pretty big saves where you're like, oh, this is why he's highly touted. And he made a couple of really nice saves, really awesome glove save on a guy, wide open shot on the left. I forget, I think it was in the third period, second period, I can't remember which one. And then he had a late, I think in overtime, he had a big kick save, maybe in third period. But anyway, he looked good in some areas, but then there's the other parts of the game which didn't go so well. He had first. Let me get to the goals really quick against him. I wrote he had an early big save, which looked pretty good. We had a 5-on-3 it was a 5-on-3 penalty kill, which they got through, and it wasn't until a little bit later. Let's see. I think Hayes had a breakaway on the penalty kill during our power play, which is fucking awesome to watch. So another team get a fucking better opportunity on the penalty kill than you get on the power play. He actually beat Sorokin, but he hit the post. So that was the first post of the game, but he was clearly beaten. And I kind of factor that into a few of these things here. The fourth line was looking way better this game, but they didn't convert in the first. And then it looked like we got pinched in, and then it was a quick shot by the Flyers. Joel Farabee scored. It was a real nice goal, and then it was a really fast turnaround play. Sorokin didn't have a lot of time to adjust, and this is kind of where I was going to go with this. Was that the first goal and the second goal were very similar, where they were very quick, 1-2 pass shots that I couldn't tell if it's because he's not aware of if he's adjusting to the speed of the NHL, or if it's just it's happening too quick and dead to rights kind of thing. But both passes seemed like they were passes that he could have maybe made himself bigger, or maybe he just isn't really used to that, having guys pick corners at the speed at which they're doing in the NHL. The first 2 goals were both basically picked corners off quick shots by the same guy, by Farabee. And,
so he's going from a larger rink to a smaller rink. So those passes are definitely going from tape to tape a lot quicker than what he's used to.
Yeah. And so Farabee got the second goal when it was the same kind of quick pass. Isles didn't pick up a guy didn't pick up Farabee, and he scored on a real nice shot. But again, it was another quick shot that he just didn't have. He couldn't get to quick enough. He just didn't have that movement. And let me see in the second period. So Barzal's been interesting this week. I mentioned really quickly in the last game, he had a 2 minutes penalty. He had 2 more penalties in this game, and he also has been drawing penalties. But it's been like strange because he's had this one big flaw in his game this year has been uncharacteristic penalties. This year he's like almost doubled his penalty minutes. Not doubled, but halved his penalty minutes from last year. Mind you, we've only played 10 games.
You took some boneheaded ones against the Rangers too. I remember that.
He did,
especially in that second game.
It's a little inflated.
He was in the box 3 times in that game, wasn't he?
Yeah. It was a little inflated this week because he had a 10-minute misconduct at the end of the Flyers game, the first Flyers or Washington game. Yeah, the second Washington game, he had a 10-minute misconduct at the end. But two. What did you say? Two? Steve?
I thought he took 3 against the Rangers in that game.
No.
Yeah, it was 2 in that game.
It was 3.
Well, anyway, getting on in the second period, the Farabee completed his he had a hat trick. He had his third goal, second and third goals in the second period. There was 2 more posts against Sorokin in this period. So basically, he was beaten 6 times, 3 goals, 3 posts by the second period. So, he made some big saves, but like if you keep the posts in mind, he's definitely getting beat. And I think it was, at that point in the game, it was 3-1. He's looking like another loss. He's not enough goal support. Defense is just not getting to their guys in time. And then we get to the third period, and all of a sudden they came out red hot, played way better. Josh Bailey gets his first of the year on deflection, and Barry's shifting the lines up. A few minutes later, Barzal scores on Lee gets a lead to Barzal on a broken play. It was an absolute beauty of a little pass. Barzal had tons of open real estate to score on that shot. I wrote down Michael Cole looked pretty good this game. He's a guy I've really ragged on a lot, but he looked pretty decent. Drew a penalty late in the third, but the damn penalty kill the power play we have was horrible this game. They were 1 for 6 and looked like they just couldn't get the puck in the zone most of the time. It was just really, really bad. And the aggressive penalty kill just completely nullified any semblance of a power play in that last power play. There was Sorkin did have a big save on a 3-on-2. It was near the end of the period. That was the pad save that I was referring to earlier, and that kept us, kept it tied. They get to the overtime, get a point, so 2 nights in a row, 2 points. But then they look bad again in overtime. Basically, just turnovers left and right. Barzal gets a penalty in overtime, and that basically sealed the deal. They, power play, puck bounces out to off of a shot. Sorkin didn't even see it in any time. Just quick shot and score by Kevin Hayes. It sucked because you could tell he was pretty dejected. So right after the game, Sorkin's like skating off, and the guys they're all giving him the taps, and he just
nobody called him a commie.
No,
Man.
opposite. No, because you know what? That's the thing is,
his teammates are respectful. Yeah. That's the thing.
I think they recognize that they've not played well in front of him.
Yeah,
and it's really sucky. Like the first 2 games. So I wrote down when they first scored they actually put this on the freaking during the game. It was 140 minutes of play before the Isles scored with him in net. That's
a lot.
7 periods of 0 goals from the Isles, and this is his first 3 games in the NHL. So I mean,
and that's one of the reasons why the Islanders are where they are in the standings right now, and they're right with the Rangers. And Rangers had very similar things, and puck bounces one way, puck bounces the other way, and that's where you find yourself in the bottom 2 of an 8-team division. And maybe let's look at the teams that are at least in the middle, at least in one of them who's actually in the playoff spot, and that's the Penguins. As decimated as they are on the back end of their defense, they're still in the 4th spot. They're only 3 games out of last place, or 3 points out of last place, but they're in the last playoff spot right now. Bill, you want them just to stop the count right now?
Yeah. Stop the count.
Stop the count.
It's interesting because if the season ended today, everybody would be like, we only played 10 freaking games. Why is the season ending already? Yeah, but the Penguins, well, yeah, we'll continue our trip around the bottom end of the division here. The Penguins, yeah, right now are in the fourth spot, but I think it's becoming very apparent that they're not a playoff team, and if they were to grab a playoff spot, it would only be out of attrition.
Well, let me ask you a question. You got Philly, Washington, Boston. Playoff
Yep.
teams, hands down. It's going to go.
Absolutely.
Everybody's said that at the beginning of the season. That's the way it's looking right now. Then you have Pittsburgh, Jersey, Buffalo, Islanders, Rangers. Who's the playoff team out of those five? Out of those 5 teams, who's the playoff team? Should be the Islanders.
That's tough.
Honestly,
yeah, I would say it should be the Islanders. I'm waiting for
they
them
played-
to be the team.
We played 4 games this week against the top 2 teams.
Yeah.
They should not have lost all 4 games. They were in all 4 games. They should have won the 2 against Philly, 1 against Washington where they imploded. And in the first game against Washington, it was a tight game. I mean, they've played now. Washington did have guys out, but the Philly didn't have that same excuse. And
Yeah, but look at the Rangers. They played the bottom 4s, and they were with the exception of the first game versus the Islanders, they were in every game. Every game.
Yeah.
One puck bounce here or there, and they're in the upper echelons. So it's really tough. We don't know.
Everybody's in every game.
As we've said early in the season, right? This is like a very tough division. There's not a lot of separation.
No.
I think Boston's the team I pegged as the team that would pull away, and they're right there with Philly and Washington. I had those 3 picked as the 3 with the Isles, but
Boston's goal differential is a +10, by the way, and Philly's and Washington's only +4. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Penguins are a -7, Billy.
Yeah,
a -7.
Terrible. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm telling you.
Plus minus is not really a great stat. Look at the Rangers, -1, and they have 8 points to have 9 games. I mean, it's not really.
I understood, but they could have 2 or 3 more wins, just like the Islanders could too.
Right, but it's a indicative that the Rangers should have a couple more wins. I mean,
they should, but
they
they don't. If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, right? So they don't. So back to the Penguins.
Well,
I guess
back to the Penguins, and that's what I'm and to your point, some of y'all feel like your teams could be doing a little bit better. They're real close to this and that. The Penguins at 5-4-1 at the NHL's version of 500 have absolutely maxed out on every single goal that they've scored this season for the most. I mean, pretty much that's the story. They have been down in every game they've played. They have played from behind in every single one of these 10 games. They've had a third period lead for 91 seconds. And somehow they've got 5 wins in 10 games. Well, naturally the answer to that is they won 1 in regulation, and they've been really good in overtime and shootouts. And Tom, you went through the 1 overtime with the Rangers. You went through that play by play. About that one, I'll only say, I know it turned into fisticuffs on the Ranger side, but the goal by Crosby. I mean, there's got to be some kind of book out on Georgiev. Why would Crosby get that open look in the slot right where he was with that exhausted team there, and he takes his shot along the ice, goes 5-hole on the ice, not even like 5-hole over the stick. So that tells me, he probably did some homework there, and
or he muffed it. Maybe he muffed it.
No, it didn't.
Unlikely.
It didn't really look like he did, but he also had D'Angelo in front of him, doing absolutely nothing in front of him, waving his stick at him. So he did have a really nice screen on the play too. So that could have been it.
And D'Angelo,
but if a goalie is square up to a shooter, right, your stick is there to cover your 5-hole along the ice.
Well,
so like Bill's saying, maybe there's a scouting report that says,
but it's not like it went
the
5-hole
tendency to raise
center.
his stick.
Yeah, but it didn't go 5-hole dead center. It was more toward his skate under the pad.
Right. So it's he shot to the other side of the heel of the stick. There was a little bit of space there. Yeah. And you can't usually shoot for that when there's a 5-on-5 because somebody's going to deflect that away with ease,
Yeah.
But so that was interesting. But really the story with the Penguins, I mean, a week ago we were here tonight. They were playing the Bruins. They had a pretty good game. They had come back and from a 2-0 deficit in the third period. They're always playing from behind. They're pretty good at playing from behind. And they've forced an overtime in that game. And obviously the infamous Malkin and Letang 2-on-0 that didn't even turn into a shot. That Malkin just telegraphed a one pass too many across the crease, and Rask just tipped it away. I mean, that kind of set the tone for the week thereafter. After that game and before they play their next game, their GM quit. So Jim Rutherford decided that for quote unquote personal reasons that he was leaving the organization. And so that then started the whole rumor mill. I saw one about he had disagreements with ownership with Lemieux, like Rutherford might have wanted to trade away one of their big three, like Letang, Crosby, Malkin. He might have wanted to start dealing one of those guys, try to rebuild it, and they said that there's no way they want them to retire Penguins or whatever. I don't know where stories like this come from. I don't know how much credence you could put in that, if there was any disagreement with management, or if the 71-year-old Rutherford legitimately had something, wanted to step away for personal reasons. I mean, he certainly earned his retirement. He never struck me as a quitter, but I can't really say what happened there. I just don't know what the situation was there. But I could tell you categorically that there's no truth to the rumor that he was on a group text with Jared Porter and Mickey Callaway and all these powerful coaches sending ridiculous pictures to people.
They'd all still have jobs if they just sent those pictures to each other instead of to women.
Yeah, that would have been much better. But no, he wasn't part of that whatsoever. That's not Jimmy. Yeah, I mean, Rutherford was a former Penguins player too, and I mean
he's 71.
Yeah,
probably has a jitterbug phone. That's why he couldn't send the pictures.
All those years he spent in Carolina, he was retired after it was done in Carolina, and he decided to come back with the Penguins and unretire. So knew he couldn't have been much longer.
But you said last week that you had a conversation with Rutherford. So did you maybe say something to him when you're on the phone? No.
Well, that kind of gets us to where we could speculate why he actually left. I mean,
Jimmy, you don't sound good. What, is there something wrong?
Why would he sound good? Look at the mess he's got.
You know what, Bill? You might be right. I might be sick.
Sick of signing defensemen off the street, apparently. So, I mean, to me, when I think maybe he just got to the point where he realized that he was not going to be around for any kind of return to glory of this team. I mean, he might have just got to the point it's like it's only going to get worse from here, because I mean, seriously, it's
it could actually get a lot better, Billy, because the GM that you could get could be Chris Drury. So do me a favor, stay the fuck away from Chris Drury. I still need him for at least another couple of years to develop people, and we still got a couple more drafts I need him in. So stay the fuck away from him for another at least 2 years.
Well, the last I heard is that the Rangers aren't letting them talk.
No, they gave him permission. They
give
permission as long as he was considered a serious candidate. And why wouldn't he be?
Yeah. Well, he's on the list, and it's interesting because there's it's a fairly large list. But Drury's on the list. I saw Kevin Weeks is on the list today. That was the first time I heard that one.
Really?
Yeah.
How about this? There's rumors that Fitzgerald was on the list, and the Devils denied permission for them to talk to him.
Not was. I think it's. I don't think it's a rumor. I think it's.
Is that right?
Very, very, very. Definitely, he's their first choice.
I mean, that's some nerve. That's a lateral move. That's not a promotion, unless they make him president or something.
And I don't see any reason that the Devils should let them talk to. I mean, he is their GM. I mean, I don't understand. I don't see why he should. But there's a lot of talk that they might keep somebody in the interim, wait it out, because he's only got the contract through the year, and I think there's people around the organization that are heavily assuming that that's where Fitzgerald would prefer to be.
Yeah.
and there's also the guy that went out to be the assistant GM in Seattle. I'm looking up his name again right now, but he was also a guy that was in the Penguins organization. Sorry, Chris Drury's name again. Tom Fitzgerald's name again. Oh, Ron Hextall's name is on that list. Fuck the Flyers.
You can't be serious.
I can't.
Oh, that would be great.
One is Garth Snow up there too?
Oh, that would be great.
No Garth Snow. Jason Botterill, that's the guy out in Seattle that was working under Rutherford for a while as well. So that's
But Neil Smith. Is Neil Smith on the list?
Oh, that'd be a dream. The football player from Kansas City?
No, not the football player. But I was thinking about it as you were saying. It's some nerve that the Penguins have. But if it's a place where Fitzgerald actually wants to be, then it's not so absurd. If it was just out of the blue, this is your GM and we want him, can we talk to him? Unless the guy actually wants to be there, I don't know.
I don't see any reason, but I mean I don't think it's strange that they want him, and I don't think it's strange that Fitzgerald wants to be there. But the way things worked out with Rutherford leaving when he did during the middle of the season, I mean I wouldn't blame the Devils for not giving him permission.
No, and I wouldn't either. He's under contract. Let him finish out. Let him finish out the year.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to the assistants, man, you should have fair game at any assistant that you guys want.
Yeah. If it's a move up, that's different.
No doubt. Except for Drury. Fuck away.
And side note, there's their interim GM Patrick Alvin. Every time I see his name, the guy that Casey used to play with the Ducks travel team in Jersey, and that was run by a guy named Patrick Alvin. And every time I see the name, I'm like, wait a minute, how the hell did he get into the Penguins organization?
He did a really good job with the Ducks and got the
incredible. Apparently,
he got the call up.
Yeah. Then I see there's 2 L's in Alvin, and I'm like, oh, that guy. Okay. So yeah, I mean the Penguins have had to try to turn the page without their GM the last week, and their next game in Boston they just got wiped off the map. I mean they just got thumped like they hadn't been thumped since the first series of the season against the Flyers. Fuck the Flyers.
Fuck the Flyers.
Fuck the Flyers.
Welcome.
And they had to move on from there. And during this time, they keep on losing defensemen. Since last week, Dumoulin went down. I think Dumoulin went down while we were talking last week. I think Dumoulin got hurt. Another long-term injury to one of their top pair defensemen. Then their other top pair defenseman went down the next game against the Rangers. Chris Letang. Don't know yet if he's long-term or short-term. They haven't given any kind of update on him over the last several days.
Nothing. That was Saturday, Bill. That was Saturday. They haven't said anything.
I mean, I don't know if everybody's in this boat, but you get zero about Penguins injuries.
No, I mean, absolutely I get nothing. You, but still, that was Saturday. They had upper, lower body. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Well, lower. I mean, we think it's lower based on what we saw in the replay, pulling up and limping off. But that's about all we got. So it was, back to trying to find defensemen for this team. They signed Yannick Weber, veteran of many years, who played 41 games for Nashville last season and had just been sitting around with nobody calling through free agency. So they picked him up. He's played 1 or 2 games. He's a -3. Then they picked up Kevin Churchman. Churchman was on the taxi squad. Somehow the name Churchman is spelled without an R, but has 2 Z's. I
saw that. I was like, how do you pronounce his name? Because we're gonna have to do that. And I'm glad John Forsland did it on NBC Sports. But going back to Yannick Weber, if I have to hear the story of him driving to New York for 13 hours to get there in time for the game, I might kill somebody.
You had time this guy.
That's all Pierre Maguire talked about.
Well, I clued in on some of what you were missing with Sam and Joe Micheletti. I mean, good Lord.
Well, I mean, Sam was on Mars somewhere calling the game, so I'm sure. How many excuse me's did he have during the game?
Oh, his excuse me.
Olivier Joseph with the puck. Oh, excuse me, that was Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, fun times. So they're literally signing defensemen off the street. I mean, Weber hadn't played, had to off the street. He had to travel those 13 hours to New York. Churchman's last game in the NHL was 7 years ago, from what I heard. He played like 15 games with the Islanders at some point.
Wait a minute. This guy travels 13 hours.
Yeah.
After just signing with the team and played Monday night.
No, I think
he didn't have to go through any testing or anything.
Wow, that's a good question.
Maybe he's already in the.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised about that too. I said, well, if they could sign somebody, but how long do they got to wait until they can actually put them in the line?
Oh, maybe he tested
negative.
Maybe
they were
different rules. Wait, it's the Penguins. Different rules.
They might have been talking to him earlier.
Like it helped them.
It could have been they didn't announce it until he was ready. Unless it was it. I mean, I don't know. We did just see the Buffalo play a game after they were basically in contact with the Devils.
Yeah.
Which all of them went to. They probably should have postponed that last game a bit. But anyway, the point is, what's the is it consistent? And they just gonna do whatever they need to do?
Well, Penguins got to put a team on the ice, and when they got a game scheduled on NBC Sports, that's really important because that's their home network. So we all know they gotta get those games in. Yeah, and so it's really just been a week of GM searches and on the ice. They've been, like I said, down. They've been behind in every single game. I mean, if they ever straighten out their defense, maybe they can challenge for that playoff spot because they're kind of close now, and everything's fallen to absolute pieces on that defense. They're just awful back there. And if they can straighten out their defense a little bit, I think this offense could still be explosive. But I don't know how they're ever going to get healthy.
Well, look at all those stars you have, man. You got Sidney Crosby, Evgeni Malkin. I mean, how can you guys not score goals?
Oh, Evgeni Malkin. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, that's the other thing.
I thought that would have been a little good segue for you.
Oh, Malkin's had quite a week after he started with blowing that 2-0. I mean, the thing that I saw in that Rangers game last night, Monday night, I mean, when he's on the power play, all he, if you're playing the Penguins on the power play, you let them pass the puck around the outside. Eventually, it's going to go to Malkin, and he's going to telegraph a pass to somebody and just lazily try to make it in. I don't know if he doesn't realize that guys can reach out their arms with their hockey sticks. I'm like, maybe he thinks like wherever their stick is now they can't extend it. I don't know, but I mean he's just putting it on an opponent's tape and it just gets cleared the other way like every single time. It's just frustrating seeing him out there. And then after the power play was awful yesterday, it was a joke. But they had one power play late in the game when they were down 2-1, trying to tie. They actually put together a respectable power play at that point. They actually were putting some pressure on, had some chances for the first time all game. It was their fifth power play, I think. First time all game, it actually looked like they were making progress, doing something. And after the penalty expired, the Rangers did kill it. But after the penalty expired, they kept the puck in the zone and they were keeping the pressure on for some 15, 20 seconds after that until the puck got slid back to Malkin at the point where he could have just stopped it there and set up a play, or he could have one-timed it. He could have done any number of things. He just Bucknered it. He just Bill Bucknered the thing into the neutral zone. That was effectively the end of the game. I mean, they never put any pressure on again after that. He just let it go, just right by him. I can't. He's useless. I got no use for him at all.
Look, my one observation of Malkin, and especially in the past two games, watching him, because I know how much you were loving him, so I wanted to see his game a little bit, and I agree with everything you're saying. Another thing that he used to play with a little bit of fire, a little bit of passion, a little bit of I fucking hate you on the ice kind of mentality, and now he's chuckling with guys in the corner. He's not like cross-checking anybody anymore. It's a different Malkin that we're seeing. And did he lose his edge? I mean, what is it?
He hit who did he hit in the face with a puck or in the head?
Yeah, exactly. That's the exact play. And he was almost apologizing for it.
Yeah, he went up and he's like, yeah, sorry. I'm like, but you're Evgeni Malkin. You're kind of an asshole. What are
Right.
you doing?
You're supposed to be an asshole. And he wasn't. He was nice and happy and laughing. I'm like, what the hell? Maybe he's laughing at him going, jerk off.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care if he's laughing. I mean, if he was playing well, that'd be one thing. My concern is that, I mean, he can't pass for shit. I mean, and I say that, and he made a great pass to Kapanen for that breakaway. But you know what? I think that puck could have landed on any center stick in the league, and he could have. I mean, these are NHL players. I think an NHL player can make that pass. It was a good pass, but I don't want to give him too much credit for that either, because it's one thing to find somebody all the way down the ice, but it's another thing, when you're in the zone and there's sticks around and you can't figure out a way to do anything with it, forget it. So, okay, I'm good with the Penguins. Thank you.
Are you sure you're good now? Well, maybe the surprise team in the Mass East in the early part of the team that looks like they're playing with a little cohesion is actually the New Jersey Devils.
Who thought you would say that?
As much as it fucking makes me want to vomit to say all those things. What happened this week with the old boys from Newark?
Are they all feeling good? They're all healthy. They're all
everybody's feeling great. After two disappointing losses to the Flyers, not really disappointing, but any losses, disappointment.
Fuck the Flyers.
Tuesday and last Thursday, those are the games that I thought I was going to see a lot more of this season. Competitive team just gets outplayed. Some good plays, some bad plays, but you're in the game and you just come up short at the end. So that's what I've been expecting all season. So it was, to see it against one of the top teams in the league makes you feel good about your own team. They go into Buffalo on Saturday. It's a real back and forth game. They tie it with 5 minutes left in the third, and we go to overtime. A lot of chances for both teams in overtime, including a breakout for Hughes, and the game ends tied. So we go to a shootout. It was shocking to see that Hughes was not one of the three shooters in the shootout.
We went back and forth on this a little bit over text.
Back and forth, and I speculated that it was because they wanted to have Hughes available if it was still tied after three shooters. And Tom made a great point. You got to put your best three out there. You got to win the game. Don't set yourself up to win the game if it gets to a certain point. You got to win the game when you can.
Yeah, look, the shootout's a joke to begin with, but have your top guys out who are good. And look, there's nobody better on the Devils right now than Jack Hughes. There is nobody. I don't care who you say. He's got to be on your top three every single time.
Steve, do you think that's something that they practice? He was not doing well. Maybe it's something they practice every time. Hey, no, because you don't think so.
He had the goalie set, he got that breakaway in the overtime, and he would have gone to school on that in the shootout if he had the opportunity. He would have known the exact move to put on him, given that information. So I just think it was a bad choice by the coach on that one to not have him as one of the three.
And it's also not like it's some guy it's not like some guy who's like halfway decent who's having a really good year. This is your number one overall.
Right.
This is your franchise. Yeah. Get him in there. Come on.
I was taking a wait and see approach on Hughes, but after seeing these all 9 games, I'm all in. So
why shouldn't you be?
Turn around 24 hours later, they up in Buffalo again. Palmieri added to the COVID list. Zajac had been added to the COVID list before the first game against Buffalo. There were 9 players in the lineup that either weren't on the team last year or weren't projected to make the team. And they played what I think was one of their best games. They went up 2-0. McLeod, Bastian, and Wood, fourth line, was off the charts. Every shift they were out there, they were making plays. Something for you guys to pay attention to when your team plays Buffalo. Ristolainen, when Buffalo's on the power play, he is the quintessential best player you could have on the crease, screening the goalie, tip-ins, and rebounds. So just keep an eye out for Ristolainen on the crease on the power play.
Already got a
because he was making things happen.
Goal. Thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah. On during the game on Sunday, the team actually scored in the last minute of each of the 3 periods, which I guess Hadn't been done in a very long time. But again, it boiled down to that Bastion, McLeod, and Wood line. They were hitting people, getting in the way, causing turnovers, aggressive on the forecheck, and scoring goals. The Devils, they combined for 6 points during that game, which is ridiculous for a fourth line when you think about it. And then all hell broke loose. It would be easier for me to list the players on the roster that aren't on the COVID list than that are. There's 14 players on the COVID list, and that includes Mackenzie Blackwood coming off of it.
Someone had a funny tweet. Mackenzie Black was the only person on the Devils roster right now, as he was in the first 5 games or something like that. I thought that was pretty funny. But did they have like a barber come in to try and cut their hair in the dressing room?
No
Did they
idea.
go to a strip club? What happened?
I have no idea. And it happened on the road where supposedly you're either in your room or you're at the rink. Yeah.
Wait, that was in Philly too, wasn't it?
No, the 2 Philly games were in New Jersey, and then they hit the road for Buffalo.
Okay.
It was when Lindy Ruff made that joke and everybody had their mask off and started laughing, and it was just
flying around.
Yeah.
So just a quick recap: Bratt, Hughes, Johansson, Kukokkinen, McLeod, Palmieri, Severson, Smith, Tennyson, Zaka, and Zajac. And then you got Dell and Vatanen, who are on that initial 7 days. You got to get 4 tests. And
I thought you
Carrick,
said you were going to do the thing where you gave us the people that were not on the list because it was going to be easy.
I don't have them written down.
Steve,
and then you got Carrick. You got Carrick, who flew home from Buffalo to be with his wife for the birth of a child. So because he took a commercial flight home, he goes on the list.
He has to. Because if you take a private jet, you don't have to. But you know who I feel bad for? Fucking Will Butcher. He can't get in the fucking any lineup.
If they played tonight, he still wouldn't be
lineup. He can't get in like a regular season lineup.
No, if they played tonight, he still wouldn't have been in the lineup.
Oh my God.
I don't understand it. I think he should have been playing over the weekend, at least one of the games. What Tennyson brings that Will Butcher doesn't is beyond me. Will Butcher is a bit of a whipping boy on Twitter for Devils fans because he's slow, but I feel like he might be slow, but he's in position. And you can be slow if you're going to be in position.
Well, give me a comparative difference between Ty Smith and Will Butcher.
Oh, no. Night and day.
Night and day difference. I mean, size comparison wise, they're pretty similar.
They're
right?
about the same size, but
Tennyson is huge. He's a big guy.
But again, he is like you were saying with the Rangers. If you're going to be out of position, you're useless, right? You don't want to be behind. You don't want to be in front of the player on the crease. You want to be behind the player on the crease. Correct. And he chases the play. So he's always behind whoever he's covering.
Well, if we were going to play you on Saturday, I would say keep him in the lineup at least until Saturday, but that's gone.
I guess we're just taking a wait and see approach, I guess, now just to see how long this goes on.
Yeah, well, at least you're getting it out of the way early. If there's a break.
It gives Heischer time to mend up from his, again, I think, broken fibula.
Does he still have a cast on?
The only bad thing is Blackwood, the facility is closed, so he can't get on the ice. So even though he's off the list, he can't practice.
Oh my God, how long is this facility closed for?
At least until Saturday.
Holy Jesus. Ugh. And now they got to make up how many games?
3.
Yeah. So they were talking
3 as of right now.
Yeah, they were talking that they might have to make these games up after that kind of fluff week in between the end of the regular season and the playoffs.
Yeah.
Where some teams might have to play 5 games in 7 nights just to make games up. But you could control your destiny at that point and gain 10 points. Could potentially.
So that is all I have on the New Jersey Devils. I mean, I could go on a little bit more and give you areas of concern, but we'll save that for another time.
Are you saying you need some material for next week because you're not going to have games?
I'm not going to have anything to fucking talk about next week. I'm not going to have anything. Unless I don't.
All right, then you got to save some material for sure then.
Yes.
All right, then we've talked your ear off for this week. That's going to do it for our podcast this week. Don't forget to follow us on our Twitter feed at Friends_Rivals, Facebook, YouTube, Friends and Rivals. Click, comment, share, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. Give us a review, 5-star review. That would be awesome. And subscribe to our show because it really, really does help us out. I don't know how it helps us out, but apparently it does. We will see you next week. We will talk about some games except for Steve. Billy, play us out.
Wear your masks, people. Wear your masks.
Oh, my friends and rivals. Flyers fuck, flyers fuck, flyers fuck.